What kind of thoughts or questions or concerns or fears have kind of, been up top of mind?
Oh, sorry. It's been very stressful. At first, whenever I realized who our president was, I was fine. It was really surreal, actually. It didn't set in. It was really hard to kind of realize what had just happened. I talked to my mom, and my mom is also undocumented, but she was completely fine. She said, it's fine. We just leave this to God. But I mean, that just frustrated me even more. And I mean, once I was thinking to myself, I was like, no, it's okay, I'm fine. It'll be okay. But once I started thinking in terms of my family and how, if there's to be like an actual separation, I mean, my younger siblings are citizens. And so to know that maybe even I won't be able to take care of them, that just really hurts. And I feel like I was just really sad at first, but then after a while, I just kept thinking to myself, this isn't the time to be sad and to be upset. It's kind of the time to kind of like stand up and just prove to them that we're going to stay here. No one's going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. My family went through a lot just to be here, and just to go back or to go somewhere else and start all over. No, I don't think so. I feel like they're great people, they're very hardworking, and they deserve the American dream that they're still, even after more than 3 decades, they're still pursuing. So I mean, those are my thoughts.
I think just to piggyback off of that, it's been an emotional roller coaster this past week. I'm definitely a lot more stable than I was a week ago. Mm-hmm. I couldn't speak a week ago. People would try to ask me these questions and I would just start bawling because I think it's very difficult for a lot of the population to understand what we're going through because a lot of people don't know what DACA is. DACA is a protection from deportation for us, as well as the grant of a work permit and a social security number, which is a blessing. We get to go to school and work legally in the United States, which is something that I don't know about y'all, but a lot of our parents can't do. Mm-hmm. We are out of the shadows. But the fear is that we will have to go back into the shadows with this new president. And it's been an emotional roller coaster because of all the questions that we've been, I don't know about y'all, but I've been receiving at least that are just insensitive. And a lot of the times maybe it's just because, like I said, a lot of people don't know what DACA is, but it hurts to get questions that are just like, oh, why are you sad? I mean, it'll be okay. You'll be fine. This isn't going to affect you. This isn't about Hispanics like you. That's my favorite. That hurts a lot because I love my community a lot. And I don't like that there are people differentiating between the good and the bad. No. So it's been tough. It has.
What are some of the just kind of real world practical issues at stake here? I mean, you talked about access to, work and school, but I mean, if this were to be taken away, how would that, what are some of the specific things that you'd see in your life change?
Well, I'd like to preface before I even answer that question that every single person in this row is a fighter. We've been fighting since day one. Same thing goes for our parents. They've just been pushing themselves so much to make sure that we get what they didn't receive over in Mexico or be it wherever, right? Now you mentioned what are the practicalities that we could lose. Essentially, it's not us that's mostly going to be affected. I feel we obviously could get DACA taken away, and that could mean a horrible amount of things. We might not be able to get employed after education, but we're already here. The problem is my little sister, who's a junior in high school, might not get the opportunity, at least the same opportunity I received to be able to go into higher education, and that's a big deal. Because if we boil it down to the very principles of why our parents are here, it's for that education. So if you're denying all these students who are in high school an education, that's a problem. So that's my biggest thing.
I also think that what DACA is the protection from deportation. But if we get that taken away, what's telling anybody to not give our information away and bring ICE to us? So let's say there's students in high school who wanted to apply for some scholarships. They essentially couldn't because they'd be scared of giving the information away. Or even worse than that, so with DACA, you're not able to get much federal aid or any federal aid or any state aid. So getting scholarships is hard. And a lot of us have to work to stay here. And it's not just scholarships that's paying for it. So if we couldn't work, it would just bring that hardship upon us immediately. I know for me, I raised $10,000 in scholarships, but that just means since I'm living here, I have 10,000 more to work, and it would make it much more harder. That and employment in the future, like Carlos was saying, we'd be worried about what we're gonna do with our degree. Many of us are in STEM, and STEM is high need right now. I know I'm an engineer, and if I had to worry about what I was gonna do after my 4 years, I don't know if it'd be worth it. And I think a lot of us might be thinking that, might be considering that, and it's some of those things that might affect us if immediately we got taken away.
What do you, a lot of the rhetoric during the campaign was kind of targeted towards this idea that you have immigrants who are coming here and maybe taking advantage of things or in some way harming, the country. But you guys are talking about, higher education, employment. What do you think are some of the misconceptions that people have that may not know, an undocumented resident or an immigrant or a family? I mean, what are some of those misconceptions, and why are these opportunities important, not just for you and your family, but why do you think it's important for us as a country as a whole?
Well, sorry, yeah, go ahead. Me in specific, I know I've had a lot of times, when it comes to voting or something, I've been asked, oh, did you vote? And I'm not eligible. And they're like, oh my gosh, like why? And then I tell them my story, and they're like, oh, I thought you could be a citizen in like 3 years or something. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. And I've also had instances to where I've had somebody tell me, like I've told them that I'm not a citizen yet, and I haven't even told them that's because I'm a resident or I'm on a visa or something, but they just assumed that I was, like illegal, and then they were like, oh, you don't fit the stereotype. You're not what I thought you would look like. And I was just like, I was taken aback, and I was like, well, what did you expect me to look like? What did you think undocumented people looked like? We're not drug dealers or farm workers, like we're people that are trying to get an education, that are involved in our community, and we're just trying to make a difference, really. And it's just a really selfish thought to think that we don't deserve this. We kind of work a lot harder than a lot of the students that have everything that they, like all the resources that they could possibly need to be like so successful. And here we are like struggling to even be able to get into the doors of OU. So it's just really frustrating. But all we can do is educate people and hope that they understand. I know like it was really stressful to, like the first day, it was just such a tense atmosphere here at OU. I know a lot of my friends like didn't go to class because of it, and it was just really frustrating. But like the way that I saw that was, at the end of the day, I feel like I've done my part to educate others. I've spoken on student panels and stuff like that, and every time I've spoken, I say, when you have that vote, keep in thought people like me. And so, I feel like I did my part, and it is frustrating when your parents say, it's in God's hands, but it kind of is at this point. We've done all that we can do, so we just hope for the best.